Can you vote when the rules are suspended? Don't you have to unsuspend the rules to be able to go?
New senators just don't vote on whether or not we're suspending the rules.
Yeah, so new senators don't vote on this specific amendment.
You can still vote when the rules are suspended. Okay, this one.
Okay, so
My question though, now becomes, so we suspend the rules for the immediately preceding question.
We can't.
It's not a reservation of the meeting. Since that's the way bylaws are written.
great.
So,
Go ahead.
I'll do this.
Do we have any?
I mean,
I don't know if there are any members of the board.
You guys want me to call out?
We're gonna call out.
We just need to adjust
You just need to justice.
yeah, any justice to do
Anyway,
it.
just stipend. If I can get hired by a company, we just don't specify.
I think that happened last year. Had other justice.
If this, I mean, like, while we're getting out on the phone, this for this committee, can we move on? Like, you think they would be really, like, about one bill?
Yeah.
So they just vote and then like,
Then we'll just take them off the ballot.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So we're going to do that. So we're going to have the new senators who are not sworn in vote. And if we find out that that's like not what is possible at all, then we'll take their vote off. And just, their vote won't count.
But can we just cross that bridge when we get to it?
Yeah, if that happens, then we'll do it. I know we don't operate that way, but we might have to today. So. Anyways, we're going to move on to old business. So we're going to approve last meeting's minutes. Anyone want to mention a second? Okay. All in favor? All opposed? Abstained? Looks like last meeting's minutes have been approved.
Point of information, are the rules currently suspended or not?
Okay. Great. Does anyone want to bring up the... We're in old business, by the way.
Second.
Okay, great. It has been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 1542. It's amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. Is there any discussion on the floor at this time?
Considering the conversations we had in caucus regarding whether or not the mayor and the representative from an undergraduate standpoint between Purdue Student Government and us, I move to table the motion until we are able to discuss that with
Second.
All right, it's been motioned to table and seconded. It's amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote.
It's not a motion.
All in favor of tabling this bill?
Tabling.
In favor, table.
That's right.
I mean, there are a few. I don't think.
All opposed, same sign? All abstain? Okay. Okay, with a vote of 33 to 2 to 3, the bill has been tabled for next session. 23, sorry. Okay, so moving on to new business.
Point of order. So, Resolution 1521, I don't know if this is brought up as a new resolution now, but it was a resolution that was brought up in a previous meeting and then tabled. So is it not old business?
Yeah, was there specifically
It was this meeting? Yeah. Does it have a new author? It's the same exact. Oh. No, one is zero.
So does someone want to move to bring it up if it's old business?
So I get,
Yeah.
okay, so point of information, is this a new resolution that was written and presented to you?
Okay, so nothing has changed on the bill, so it is old business, and we'll make a friendly amendment and change it from resolution 1521 to whatever the previous resolution was. So, does someone want to bring that up?
I'm actually bringing up resolution 15-21.
Okay, so it's been properly moved and seconded to bring up resolution 1521. It's amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. Is there any discussion on the floor at this time? Asim.
Hey. Sorry, I'm familiar with the protocol. I'm Asim Jha. I recently had the great fortune of being elected to the local city council position. So this is a bill that sort of outlines the general tax plan going forward to encourage new businesses. And it's largely modeled on a plan that was implemented successfully in upstate New York called Startup New York. That was a plan that was implemented at the state level in which they effectively suspended all taxes on new businesses. That's a bit outside of our power here when involved with local government. So what we intend to do is to exempt the property tax, which the city does in fact have control over for the first year, and then gradually escalate that up to the prevailing property tax rate. And so hopefully this should encourage students as well as outside businesses to come and invest in the communities and bring some more employment to the area.
So as I mentioned in your caucus, the bill currently says, in the therefore clause, this is so I'm amending the therefore clause to instead of saying linearly, which it says will start at 0% and will increase linearly over 5 years. And then again says university alumni will increase linearly. Those should both be changed to exponentially to properly reflect the tax that
And to speak further on that point, a linear tax plan would impose a greater burden as the years would progress. An exponential tax plan would give a business more time to get established over the first few years, while eventually ramping up the tax burden as time progresses.
This is kind of like a general question. Do you know when this is being brought up in city council?
So at present, the inauguration is in January. So this will be one of the first action items adopted right now. And so the city of West Lafayette actually implements a similar program, except generally it's with large businesses. So they don't have a streamlined process for student-owned or student-owned businesses. So hopefully we can create a sort of a fast track for these sort of businesses that'll help encourage student entrepreneurship in a more direct fashion.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, can I get a motion to amend the resolution? Yeah, second. Okay, great. So now we're gonna vote on it. So, all in favor?
It's amendable and debatable.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. Any discussion at this time on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll now move to a vote. All in favor of the amendment? All opposed, same sign? All abstain? Okay. 20-07, so it looks like the amendment has passed. All right, back to the original resolution.
I'd like to inform you this is not a tax plan. This is an outline of a future tax plan that may or may not be created. Usually when organizations support a tax plan, they generally have the plan in front of them. There's some issues with this one that have not been addressed in the briefings that we've been given. How do we handle businesses that have been here under 5 years already? Would they be incorporated into this tax plan? The same goes for 10 years. There hasn't been given background research. You've shown us the tax plan from the state of New York, but you haven't shown us similar cities like West Lafayette, not only in size, but in relation to having Purdue University there, and you haven't described what is considered a new business. There's a lot of things that go into a tax plan, and I won't even pretend to know what goes into it, but there's just not enough here for us to support something that we don't even know 90% of what it is. I don't say that this isn't something we should support in the future, but we need to have a tax plan in front of us before we can say we support it.
Yeah, I was going to kind of go off that with another question. So when you first talked about that, you said that it would support Purdue alumni and all new businesses, but then in this it says new businesses part or wholly owned by Purdue University alumni. That makes it seem only. Do you mean all new businesses, or do you mean just businesses that have some connection to Purdue alumni? And then from that point, is that even something we're really able to do? Would the city of West Lafayette be concerned about that we're not including people that would already be in West Lafayette but not be connected to Purdue?
Yes. Point of information, make it a direct question if you're asking it to see.
Yeah, so just a quick response to that. There's sort of two parts to this. One would be involving all new businesses that are unaffiliated with Purdue in any case, and that has a shorter window during which time the property tax would escalate. And then the other program would give a longer window to encourage entrepreneurship from Purdue specifically. So that's the 5 years versus the 10 years, respectively. And as far as whether or not it would be within the scope, as mentioned earlier, like the Startup New York program actually encouraged specific college campuses in public universities to create these sort of tax-free zones. So there does in fact exist a precedent for this sort of thing. And with previously established businesses, that's certainly an aspect that I would say that we need to flesh out a bit more. Perhaps I think a suitable compromise would be that if they've existed for say 3 years, then you set their property tax rate right out the gate to the after 3 years property tax rate along the curve, and then you keep like accelerating them for the remaining 2 years as it rises to the prevailing rate. So while they didn't have that advantage over the first 3 years of their creation, they'll at least be given that little boost over the last 2.
I echo all the points that you made, and on top of that, direct question to you, if we gave you more time, would you be able to come to us with that more detailed plan that you talked about?
I'd say so. Probably, yeah.
Senator Frazier?
Can I just ask a question about why? I mean, I support the idea behind it, but my question is why are we giving favorable incentives to someone who's a specific alumni? I mean, I get that the idea is that the institution has mechanisms to support innovation and entrepreneurship, but I feel like at the same point, it's not equal, and as we've seen in past instances throughout governments, a lack of equality is not the way to go about things. Yes, please.
Okay. So the idea being that because Purdue is such a huge presence here in West Lafayette, and because it produces an enormously talented variety of students across all disciplines and across all sectors, the goal of the city, I think a manifest goal of the city should be to try and retain as much of that talent as possible. And without extending that sort of provision to alums, it makes it far more difficult for them to be willing to settle down here. Because say a recently graduated undergrad or even a grad student, say they found a business after they graduated and they wouldn't be able to enjoy the advantage of the full 20 years period. So that would be the benefit of that provision, to be extended to individuals who have graduated and to encourage them to contribute to the community.
You're going to go off of what you said. This is not like we're not voting on the tax plan. We're pretty much, this resolution is saying that if a tax plan meets these criteria, we support it. So we're not going to be the ones like reviewing all of the legal terms. This is just a resolution saying that if these certain criteria are met, we do not do that.
Senator Cotton?
I have a direct question to you, not you, Renner. But what discussions have you had with the ANDL?
With the ANDL, I haven't had any direct discussions as of yet, but the ANDL strikes me as a great sort of incubator and a startup machine, so to speak. So that would definitely be another avenue for discussion. I have a lot of friends who are involved in that entire startup thing. A friend of mine and I, we actually tried to get involved in that startup competition that they had. So I think that would be another avenue, and other incubators like the ANDL would be exactly what we're trying to encourage.
Senator Stebbins?
I think for me,
while I do agree with this, a concern for me is that our neighboring Lafayette would they potentially then have an issue with the fact that new businesses are going to be more apt to come to West Lafayette, but what about Lafayette? Will that bring those levels down for them?
Is that correct?
That's just kind of an overall opinion.
Great.
First of all, I think that's kind of the point. I could be wrong about that, but the point I'd like to kind of make is I tried looking into this subject, and I tried reading up on like city tax code and stuff, and it's just so dense. To be perfectly honest, I do not feel like I'm educated enough on the subject to make an informed decision, given what you presented here. And I know that a lot of my constituents either don't know or don't care because it won't really affect them. Having said that, I definitely support the general idea behind it, in that I would like to see businesses, and especially alumni, feel that West Lafayette is in this area someplace that they can stay and make a life and grow the city. I've lived in West Lafayette for the past like 10 years of my life. I've grown to love the place, and I'd love to see it grow even more. Having said that, seeing as we've had a scene suggest that he'd be willing to come back to us with more information, I would like to move to table this until next session. Or next meeting, I apologize.
Okay, so all in favor of, yeah,
When is the,
December 2nd.
December 2nd.
okay.
I just have a direct question. Would you be able to
There's a motion on the
Yeah,
table.
it's a
It's been
motion to, table, so for next session, so all in favor of tabling? Okay, all opposed, same sign? All abstain? So it needs 2/3 to table, right?
I think 2/3 with abstentions, like taking it.
Okay, so it is tabled. The vote was 14-4 to 9, so it is tabled for the next session at December 2nd, 2015.
Can I say something about the other senators? I like the idea. I think that changing tax policies is a very underused resource when it comes to changing what the government does, essentially. But I think what Adi had to say was
presentation I had a couple minutes ago, and I talked about it in caucus. There's not a lot more I have to add besides what I said in caucus on the presentation. Personally, I think it's a really cool opportunity to bring what is a uniquely diverse style of dance. It really encompasses a lot of different groups around the world at Purdue. It's something that we don't really see a lot. We see all sorts of awesome academic events, but I really think this is a cool combination of a cultural and social event to bring to campus. It'll be a great opportunity for a lot of people like me who've never tangoed before. And I think it's an all around awesome event.
Senator Lloyd.
Yeah, I was really excited to see this event here as well. I think it'll be the perfect opportunity to get a lot of different people in the same room, in the same place, doing something that's really fun and unique. As was said, this seems to be a really golden opportunity for people to learn how to dance, and I think it would also tie in very nicely to our time principles, the I is included, right? Yeah, so I think this would be just something really great for Purdue Student Government to support, and I think all the elements are there for us to give this a go.
Great.
I too think that this is a good event. However, it does concern me, the numbers in terms of how much money we're talking here, based on precedents set from other organizations and the number of students and whatnot. But it seems like they really need our help, and I think it's a good event. But I would like to at least put it at the number that they absolutely need. So I move to amend the amount to $2,850, $2,850 instead of the $3,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's been probably moved and seconded. It's amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. Is there any discussion on the floor on the amendment at this time?
There are questions for representatives of the Central Fund. Would that $150 cushion, oh, there you are, affect negatively in any way?
Just the one.
The reduction by $150?
The budget that we made was at the strictest possible, right? So when we took the budget into account, we took out the minimum amount we have to pay for a lot of things. So also it does not include taxes. So it would affect us negatively in terms that I do not think it will cover in whatever taxes additionally that we do incur in terms of taxes, which I think would be a good amount considering we are renting out venues, we have deposits to take care of, and hotels do also have taxes. But apart from that, I don't think it will be detrimental. I think it will affect them.
Senator Frazier.
First question, does the budget include the amounts that would be raised off of the entry fee?
No, it does not. We wanted to make sure that whatever costs we had to cover would not at all tax the students that came in. And if it does not, and we cannot, we invite people. So we do not have a registration method where we can ensure that certain number of people show up. We can only estimate it. So, and if we do not have stake, in the worst case scenario, we do not have anyone from outside come in, then we only have Purdue students who are not essentially paying for the event. So the taxing of whatever is overdue and is not covered by the grant would go onto either the club members themselves who are also students. Therefore, it will take away from the classes that they're able to, what we're able to offer them throughout the semester. So no, we're not including the money that we'll have from other people come in, but that's because we take into factor the worst case scenario.
Thank you.
Senator Toll.
Direct question. So the purpose of co-sponsorships is just basically like join our networks and like figure out how everything's going to cohesive with Purdue Student Government. Can you talk a little bit about how the Tango Club is going to give back to PSG and like how is our money going to go to far?
So we intend to advertise PSG and to say that we're sponsored entirely by PSG via this event. We're open to having a booth at all of our classes and all of our festivals. So and we extend a warm welcome to every one of PSG's members, obviously, to the event. But apart from that, we have all of our flyers also say that they're additive, but that the entire event is sponsored by PSG. And on top of that, if PSG has an idea of how you would like to collaborate with us in order to further your cause and what PSG represents, we would be more than willing and happy to collaborate.
Senator Neely.
Yeah, I would just like to kind of show off like what Dr. Julie was talking about at the beginning and talking about inviting in a more diverse background into organizations like this. I think that this would be an awesome recruitment method for PSG, and if by any chance if anyone would want to get a database so that we could get numbers and names of individuals that are participating in this event that have diverse backgrounds, I think that that would be an awesome opportunity in this event for recruitment. Thank you. That's all.
Senator Yehoshua. I'm sorry.
So the co-sponsorships, I think we're forgetting the co-part of it. It's supposed to be two organizations coming together to put something on. This is an event that wouldn't be co-sponsored, it would be fully sponsored by PSG, which I'm not sure is the purpose of co-sponsorships, but I could be wrong. Other than that, there are other organizations on campus that do offer dance lessons or tango. Last month, the ballroom dance team, I actually went to their tango one. So this isn't something that doesn't have on campus, though they are bringing in instructors that are different. I'm not against events like this, but I feel like it's a lot of money for an event that is coming right up, so we're a little bit, stranglehold in giving the money.
Point of clarification, while these are good points, I believe we're discussing the amendment from 3,020.
I apologize.
Senator Toll.
Well, I was gonna go off of that, but also, so since I bring the question, all questions the amendment.
Okay. It's been properly moved and seconded to call the question on the amendment. All in favor? Raise your name, please. Please raise them high. All opposed, same sign. All abstain? So it looks like it's been, now we vote. So the call question is passed. So, all in favor of the amendment? Please raise them high. Okay, all opposed? All abstain, same sign. So the amendment has failed, so now we're back to the original bill at $3,000. Any other discussion at this time? Taylor Toll. Senator Toll.
I know that a lot of people have concerns about the funding aspect of it, as well as what's the purpose of co-sponsorships. Co-sponsorships are for when they're created for organizations that have tried other avenues and have tried going other places, or they created a last minute event that could not go through other funds. And if they did go through SOGA, it was a miscalculation, and that's why they didn't get funding, as well as they actually finally got things set into place as of now. And I think that was the purpose of co-sponsorships. Co-sponsorships is for that we can support the smaller organizations, not just the PUDMs, not just the pandemoniums, but also the clubs that don't have as much financial backing, as well as looking at the $3,000. We have it in our budget right now, and we only have one meeting left. And I think this event will not go on unless we give them that funding.
Senator Jenkins.
I'd like to yield my time. Thank you, I really appreciate it. I would just like to make a point of clarification to what the Senator said. Of course, the classes of co-sponsorship funds are more known to you, but as far as the distinguishing factor between ballroom tango and the Purdue Argentine Tango Club exists is that we do not offer the same style of dance, neither are they from the same background or the same instructors. So the Purdue Argentine Tango Club focuses more on the traditional style that actually originated and stems from Argentina. What the Purdue Latin Ballroom Club offers is not the same thing at all. It's like clubbing, salsa, bachata, all Latin dances together, which I think is not fair, since that entirely eliminates the culture behind these dances. So yes, I recognize that there are different dance groups available on campus, but Purdue Argentine Tango Club is entirely different from the tango that the Latin Ballroom class offers, the Latin Ballroom Club offers, and if nothing else, it still remains that we are a social club and not a performance group like the Ballroom Club.
Senator White.
Again, I know we keep getting back to it, but I think one of the big concerns is the money aspect of this. You mentioned in here some of these $5 fees, some of this free to open. Could you really be specific on what you're charging for, what you're not charging for? And if you did charge, say, $5 for everyone to go to all of these events, how much you anticipate that would bring in actuality? Just some things, because I think we do want to help you fund this, but what we want to do is help. And of course, it helps to be a substantial amount, but I think some senators are just asking for some from you. So I'm looking at that aspect of, what are you able to do to help bring this down so that we can reach an agreement?
So, in order to clarify how the expenses work, how the money works, so for students, all 5 of the workshop classes are entirely free. As for the 2 social dances, those will be $5 per person if they are a Purdue student. And we have different brackets for different people. So anyone who's a member of the community or a member of the community from outside of Purdue would be paying a certain amount to go to all of the classes, and they would also be paying a certain amount to go to the dances, which are both higher than what the Purdue students pay. The reason why we haven't factored this amount into our budget when we made the budget was because this event is primarily put out for the purpose of having this opportunity out to Purdue students. So we would extend the invitation to community members, but we do not rely on them attending these events. And for Purdue students, they do not, again, the basic appeal of this event are the classes themselves and not the dances. So we, again, invite people to come to the dances, but they're not on campus. Also, they're taxable. So we hope that students will be able to come more to the classes themselves than the events. Yes, they're both open to students, but we do not rely on that money to generate any income so that we would be able to cover the cost, which is why we did not factor that into our budget.
Senator Friedland.
I want to echo what she said. While I understand some others may disagree with me, I really think that it's important that we do everything we can to make this as cheap or free to students as possible. I think that's what really drives, the unfortunate reality is, speaking from experience, I'm on a very limited budget. And costs can often be a limiting factor that prevents people from having the opportunity to do really cool things like this. So I really think that it is important that we help them out in a way that keeps us open to Purdue students. And like I said, these costs can normally get extremely prohibitive if outside of events like this. So this is a really cool opportunity, I think, to give students this chance to experience it without being so $150, $200 invested in this style of dance.
Senator Twelve, this is your last time speaking on this.
Well, I propose an amendment to the therefore clause when it says Purdue, and I think this will be helpful for everyone. The Purdue Student Government supports the Tango Club, Tango Festival, and will cover costs up to $3,000. If they do make a profit, they will return the funds to Purdue Student Government. It's just because of talking to Heather, just in case they do make a profit, say that you do get like $500 out the door, and the event only costs $2,800. That means you are making a profit off of our dime, which was, we'll help you support it, we'll have that financial backing just in case it doesn't happen. But in the case that does, that would be great for you guys. Just return the difference of that back to us, if that's acceptable to you.
Great. So it's been properly moved and seconded. So it's amendable, debatable. It's not amendable, sorry. It is amendable. Okay. It's amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Yeah. Can we also get that in writing? Thank you. Senator Malloy.
Direct question. Do you think this is a fair and equitable compromise?
I think it is. The idea behind any profit that we made was so we could reinvest in that club, and unlike this time where we had to do a lot of things last minute because of the shortage of funding, the next time we organize an event like this, we will be able to begin planning at the beginning of the semester itself and have the contracts in, because we know we have the financial backing. That was where we initially proposed that our profits would go into. But if the PSG feels that should we make a profit, the funds should be returned so they would be able to go to another organization, I think that's fair.
Senator Almach.
So while I understand, I guess, the sentiment behind this, it's my feeling that if this organization has put this much planning and time into this event, while they were not able to secure funding from outside of it. I understand the reasoning behind, when you put on an event. If you don't use the full amount, then you return what wasn't used. I'm not really sure I can support taking money out of this organization's account, especially if they're planning to reinvest it into future events for other students. Therefore, I would like to amend the amendment to say that they will return half the profits that they make.
Is there a second on the floor for the amendment? Seeing none, we will continue discussion. Senator Bin Yoshua.
A direct question to Taylor Toll. So is that only for profits they make, or?
Full 3,000. They don't have to return their profits that they made. That's what it is. Like if they made $1,000 worth of profits, they don't have to give us $1,000 worth of profits. But if they, like the difference between the $3,000 and like this, and like it only took $2,800 to put on, then they would give us the extra $20.
Okay, so we're gonna go. Senator Frazier.
Two things. Can you ask our colleagues on the other side of the room to speak up? It's hard to hear, and I yield my time to President Young.
Thank you. Yeah, so, guys, what are we doing here? We have not applied this rule to any other organization that's asked funding for us, and this is like a policy change that we're trying to implement. Does this need to be happening on the floor in the form of an amendment, or can we work this out in IA and FA? And, if there's a solid policy, that's good, let's do it. I understand the need of an organization, if they don't use all the money, we'd like to have some of it back, but I do not believe the place to be making this sort of an adjustment, especially when we have not applied that standard to other organizations. It's a policy change, it needs to happen in committee, that's why we have committees. I really don't think we need to play with this. However, I'm also not a voting member, so.
Okay, Senator Morrison.
Motion to call the question. Second.
Okay, good motion to call the question. All in favor?
Calling the question.
To the amendment.
So, point of clarification.
On the amendment.
Okay, point of clarification. So this amendment would essentially say not any extra money that they make, but any difference between the cost and what we give them in return to us. Is that correct? Okay, so that's, isn't that another point of clarification? Isn't that the policy we've had in general? Like, if we give them a certain amount of money, any unused funds return to us? Is that yes or no?
I haven't heard of anything like that.
Direct question to Peter Boyd.
There's a motion on the floor.
Yes.
Okay, and it's been seconded, so we're going to vote on calling the question. So all in favor of approving this amendment? All in favor? Okay. All in favor of calling the question on the amendment? All opposed, same sign. All abstain? Somebody not vote?
Did anyone not vote, or did I just miss someone?
Who's 13? Okay, so we did call the question. It has been approved. So all in favor of the amendment? Raise your name, please. All opposed? All abstain? All right, so the amendment has failed. Now we're back to the original discussion. Okay, Senator Young.
Okay. Remember everything that Taylor said about us having money in our budget. Also remember what President Young said about policy changes. I agree with all questions.
Okay, so it's been properly moved and seconded to call the question. All in favor, please raise your name, please. This is on the bill.
Calling.
On the calling question. Yep. All opposed, same sign. All abstained? Okay, it looks like it is passed. So now we are voting on the actual bill. All in favor, please raise your hand flag. All opposed, same sign. All abstained? Okay, so it looks like the bill is passed.
Point of information, can I get a count?
20-0-7.
Thank you.
Yes.
I move to bring up resolution 1519 on
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to bring up resolution 1519. It's amendable, debatable, and requires a majority of the vote. Is there any discussion at this time on the floor? In the room right now.
So just for visitors and everybody, obviously today is Veterans Day, and I think it is very important that we recognize those who have served or are serving in the military here in the United States. So this resolution formally thanks all current and former active duty military personnel for their service, especially the many Purdue students, faculty, and alumni who have served or are currently serving against a sizable population of Purdue people that fall into this category. So I think this is really important for us to do.
Any other discussion? Senator Friedland?
I don't know if, I mean, I assume this is possible. I don't know if this is already planned, and if it is, awesome. If we could get this like published on the website, like this, assuming it passes, of course. If we could get this bill published and just make sure so it's not just an internal thing, but something that we really express to the community, something we really say, hey, we really appreciate everything you've done for us. And
Senator Young?
Thanks. Yeah, we are going to certainly be doing that through social media. In fact, we already tweeted about Veterans Day today. You guys are also free to distribute this information to your constituents. So please feel free to do that as well. We're doing a lot of stuff with the website right now, so I can't promise it's going to be up in any timely fashion, but you guys are also responsible for communicating past legislation to constituents. So,
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we will now move to a vote. All in favor of this bill, please raise your hand flag. All opposed, same sign. All abstained. Okay, so the resolution passed. Mayor Almaki.
I need to bring up resolution 1517.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded to bring up resolution 1517. It's amendable, debatable, and requires a majority of votes. Is there any discussion at this time? Senator Almaki.
So, this resolution is pretty straightforward. Essentially, the University Senate Committee on Diversity and Equity has drafted this statement, which is already in use in a couple of different colleges for their hiring ads. Basically, it's not requiring that anyone be of diverse backgrounds. It's not requiring that you be a person of color or anything like that. It's not an affirmative action resolution. It's essentially saying that for teaching faculty, that since they will be interacting with a wide range of diverse students, that they have considered diversity in some fashion. And it doesn't explicitly say teaching faculty within this, but that's the intention of the University Senate Committee. Yeah, I addressed this in caucus, and
Diversity is good.
Any other discussion on this time? Seeing none, we will now move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your name flag, please. Okay, all opposed? All abstained? Okay, vote of 27-0 the resolution is passed.
Motion to bring up resolution 15-18.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to bring up resolution 15-18. It's amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. Is there any discussion at this time?
Yeah, so this resolution is just saying that we're urging the Indiana General Assembly to work towards making textbooks that college students buy for the purpose of courses, sales tax exempt like they are for students in kindergarten through 12th grade, and like they are for college students in many states around the country. The Senate Governmental Relations Committee will be working with our elected representatives in the state assembly to create legislation and hopefully bring something before the assembly this session if we can.
Senator Toll.
Are you going to bring this to Purdue State House? Possibly. Yes, direct question.
I don't know when the Purdue Day at the State House is, but if this legislation is to a point where it's constructed enough and we've worked enough with the legislators, we'd love to.
Senator Almaki.
Direct question to Veronica Dowd. Is she still in here? No? Okay. Or, sorry, Virginia, I apologize. She's okay. She's the DOD GR person. I thought she might know what the state was.
Senator Malloy.
This has less to do with the bill and more to do with the attitude towards bills. So I've noticed that there's no, plan, input. I'm very much in favor of this resolution. But I noticed there's no extensive plan or binder on tax policy or whatever was requested of the other tax bill. So it's kind of disappointing to see at least a little bit of, I would say, inconsistency in how these bills are being treated. So just going forward, I don't know, when there's similar bills, I think they should be approached in similar ways.
Senator Young.
To echo what I said when we brought up the other resolution, you guys need to remember that these are just resolutions. It's just like what our recommendation, like when legislation comes to term, this is what we want to see, this is what we would support. We're not supposed to skim through all the legal documents. We're not supposed to sit there and go through word by word. That's not our job, that's the politician's job. We are pretty much just voicing our concerns about what we are looking for. So everyone keep that in mind when we pass resolutions. It is not set in stone legal legislation, I guess.
Senator Ben Yehoshua.
There are vast differences between the two bills. The first one being the therefore clause. On the other one, it says therefore the Purdue Student Government supports a property tax plan, whereas this legislation is urging the Indiana General Assembly to draft and adopt legislation. There's a difference between supporting a tax plan that we haven't been presented with and urging the Indiana General Assembly to address an issue that we see of concern that does relate to taxes. Yes, it does both involve taxes, but this is entirely different.
Any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, we will now move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand, Blackbeard. All opposed? Same sign. All abstain? Okay. It is passed. Senator Romery.
Move to bring up resolution 1520.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to bring up resolution 15-20. It's amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. Is there any discussion at this time? Senator Romery.
So, as you are all aware, mental health is an important topic on this campus for all students. And it just so happens that this is Mental Health Week, and the ESG Committee on Mental Health that we created has been working to figure out exactly what are the issues of mental health on our campus and how can we fix those. At this point in time, we aren't ready to submit a full proposal of exactly what needs to be done, but we're going to get there. We have plans to get there, but that could take some time. So this resolution just urges the university to be taking a look at this as well, so that when we come to the point where we're ready to go, hopefully they're ready to go and we can work together and get more mental health resources for the students on campus. So there is a need, but we are just saying we're looking into it, and they should too, so that we can be most efficient
Any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, we will now move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand, placards. All opposed, same sign. All abstained? Vote of 27-0, it is passed. Second. It is probably moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? All opposed? And we are now adjourned. Any other announcements at this time?